Hello and welcome to a quick look at how to install mods in Euro Truck Simulator 2 and also as an example to change the power of a particular engine. So without further ado, you've downloaded your mod. Now I've got a whole bunch of mods installed. Please excuse the desktop. You'll double click on the mod. It'll often come down as a zip. Sometimes it'll come down as an SCS. Now an SCS file, they're the files that you basically insert into Euro Truck Simulator, as you shall see shortly. But often they'll come down as a zip file, which will contain a number of SCS files. In this instance, I've got RJL's Scania T mod 1.5.2. And within here, you've got templates. That's just for skinning and stuff. I've never looked into skinning, so we'll brush over that. And some other information. But yeah, you've got your SCS file. That's the important file right there. So let's have a look here. Let's do some clicking. So your SCS mod folder, if you go to My Documents, you'll have a Euro Truck Simulator 2 folder. We'll click on that. Rather helpfully, it's called Mod. Alphabetically right at the top of the list, and click on that. As you can see, I have quite a few mods. But what we want will be the Scania T. There we go. So imagine I've basically, what you do is you just drag and drop out of that zip window, bang, and into there. I shall show you how to install the mods in a second. Now, some of you may know how to enable mods within Euro Truck Simulator. Although I'm guessing if you're watching this, you perhaps don't. Who knows? I shall show you that in a few seconds. But before I go on to that step, which is pretty easy, as you'll see, you're probably wondering how on earth would I mod the engine for the Scania T? Well, SCS, now other people may do this differently, but I just cheat. Change the file extension, that's the bit after the dot, to zip. In my case, ZIP. Enter. It blathers on about might come unstable. That's just a Windows thing because you're changing the file extension thing. So now it's a zip, which will hopefully open up in your preferred unpacking software. So in here it gets kind of a bit more complicated. This is probably the most complicated bit if you don't know what you're looking at, a bit like me. So I just aim for def, which stands for definitions, and then you want vehicle, click on that. And then you want truck, not any of the others. Ignore all the others in this instance. You want truck, and that pertains to the actual truck, which is a Scania T. It might be called something different. It depends on how the mod's set up. And this is for modified trucks, so trucks you've downloaded off the internet, for example. Please excuse my squeaky chair. So, regards stock trucks and stuff, that's kind of different. I don't know about that. I've never looked into that, but this is for modded trucks that you've downloaded that you perhaps want to tweak yourself. Now you can do a number of things here. Now I think I might need to do them myself. So no, I've already done them. I've added a couple of gearboxes, 22-speed gearbox, which I downloaded. It was originally designed to be able to go faster. It's 21 forward speeds and 1 reverse speed. I modified it. If I double click on it, I've got SII. I've set the computer so it opens up in Notepad automatically. Basically here you've got your forward gear ratios, you've got reverse gear ratio, you've got also various differential ratios and so on and so forth. Up at the top here where it says name, actually there's one important thing, one partially important thing. The first important bit is the bit after where it says accessory transmission data here. This, and it says 22 speed tlo.misc.transmission. Now, if you have, for example, 2 trucks in the game, and they are both called the same gearbox. So, for example, if I have 2 mods, and I've put this little this .sii in both mods, the game will say, hold on a second, that slot's taken, and kick the other one out. Now, it won't cause crashes, it'll cause errors in your game log. It shouldn't cause crashes, but it'll chuck up some errors in your game log, which makes things untidy. For when you do have a problem, you've got to sift through all this unnecessary stuff. But, for example, if this was the second truck to load, i.e. the other truck had loaded first, and that's taken this slot, 22-speed T-low mist transmission, then when it comes to load this truck, it'll say, well, I can't load that because there's already something in that, and it'll just ignore it. So you won't see the gearbox as an option in the garage, for example. So what I do is I just rename this bit. I tend to leave the MISC bit and change this to something as specific as I can get to this truck, which helps me if it does crop up in the game log, then I can identify which mod the error's sort of coming from, if that makes sense. So that's the most important thing, really, in my book, is changing that bit relatively memorable. I try and keep the character number the same because I don't know what sort of issues occur if you make it a massive long name or anything like this. So try and keep it as simple as possible and yet as unique as possible. So that's good advice. You can try changing the price and the unlock level. I find it doesn't always work. It depends on the mod you're using and various things. So kind of works, kind of doesn't. But yeah, you can try it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And in order to change the actual ratios, I literally just stuck to changing these ratios here, and I left the differential stuff alone. And I made small adjustments. I tried to keep it. I mean, this is quite a complex gearbox because there's a lot of different ratios. When you're lower down the list, i.e. towards first, which would be 0, and second, which would be first, and because obviously we don't want it too straightforward. Your ratios tend to be further apart, as you can see, 14.89 and 12.41. As you get more up towards the top end, because of your differential ratio, a small jump in ratio is a relatively sort of large jump. You have to be kind of into maths and stuff, and can't be bothered with all that. So I try and keep it. So if I shift, it's difficult to explain, really. You're probably thinking, move on. I will do the same. But I try and keep the difference between the different ratios roughly the same. Unless, I was going with this low gearbox. I was going for the ability to have more gears available within, say, the 0 to 70 mile an hour range, which would enable a weaker engine to haul a bigger, heavier trailer, you see, giving me more power, essentially, more torque. So that's kind of what I was aiming for there. It's kind of successful. I've not tweaked it too much. I've got another generation, originally titled 22A Speed Low, which is an even lower version of this. And it seems to work quite well. I don't think I've properly tried it out in the ultimate heavy trailer yet, the 95-ton Siemens Transformer. That's an absolute beast. That requires some concentration. So anyway, that's what you do to modify a gearbox. I realise that's not exactly what the point of the video was, but I kind of got carried away there. Engine is kind of along the same lines, really. So obviously, click into the engine bit, and you've got all the engine options available on that truck. As you can see, there's quite a few different engine options with the Scania T. You'll see duplications. I think that is because, I can't remember why it is now. Some options not available with certain cabs and stuff like this. And so I think there's different versions of the same engine for that reason. But I've kind of just used it up here. The mod originally comes with 2 730 brake engines. Up here, it's a bit complicated. It's not easy to read, rather. It's not complicated. But that's the name of the engine that is presented within the garage or the workshop within the game. So when you're in the workshop looking for your settings and stuff, not your settings, your different engines and stuff, that's the name that you will see above the little picture on the left-hand side, is the bit in the inverted commas after name, which is fairly safe, self-explanatory. And basically what I do is sort of a secret internal code and just put GT somewhere in the title, standing for G tuning, I suppose. Gazarhya tuning. So then I know for a start that everything's worked. My adjustments, the engine in the game there is the engine that I've fiddled about with. And the other bit I changed rather, is the bit under torque here. Change that figure Now, I tend to not bother with sort of 10, 20 or 100 type changes because it's like barely noticeable. So if I'm going to mod an engine where I want to actually feel a real big increase in power, I'd start to be thinking about 500 type increments. So if I wanted a real stupidly powerful engine, which would probably be equivalent to a 2,000 brake horsepower engine, I would stick something like 7,000 in there. I think I may have done that with a few trucks. I don't know whether it's entirely linear, the scale. It's experimentation. Try that. I think that's the only setting. It's certainly the only setting I change, and it has a big impact. And I suppose whilst I'm at it, since this video has gone on for about 15 times longer than I thought it would do, and you may be interested, there's an economy modification. Now, I did download this off probably the SES forum mod. It may in fact be DM's less hard economy mod there. I've modified it slightly, which I've discovered this through a lot of things in life, is basically investigating what other people have done. So again, I'm going to change that to zip. Double click on it, read me, the def file is in here, economy _ data.scs. Oh, blimey, yeah, that's some words and letters on the screen there. Let's see if we can fill this out so it makes more sense, perhaps, maybe. Please, be nice. Bigger? Oh, no. What about that? I'll leave it at that. That's as close as we're going to get. So this is a bit more complicated, as you can see. So you'd have to read it carefully, line by line. This is about as good as it can get in terms of the size. And now you have to bear in mind that sometimes updates might cause this to not work anymore. So if you have previously modified this file and there's a game update, a fairly major title update, for example, SCS may have changed something in the code which renders one or more sections of this code in front of you here null and void, inoperable, whatever. So if you get sort of issues happening there, then it might be this file. If this file is going to cause issues, I would have expected it to cause issues whilst the game is loading. So before you actually enter the game, you can see your truck swizzling around on its podium, because that's when it will load all the files, and that's when it wants this information to construct the sort of game world. Like I said, I won't go through everything here. I might touch one or two things, but as you can see, there's a lot going on, and it can get quite complicated. So it depends what you're going for. I've kind of set this up. I've tried to leave stuff as stock as possible, but I've just changed some key things, which off the top of my head, I think my AI drivers improve their skills possibly slightly quicker, and also possibly get a few more points and stuff like that a little bit quicker, maybe rake in a little bit extra cash. I'm talking about 20% extra cash. And also in terms of me, I've increased things like the parking bonus, manual parking bonus. I think I've increased that quite a lot. So when you start a fresh profile, you could sort of whiz through the first 10 levels in 2 or 3 deliveries, so you can really get your foot in the door and unlock trucks and stuff quite quickly, which is great when if you've got a load of mods in one profile and then they update the game and the mods don't update as fast and stuff, so you need to start a new profile to run the new update. This mod enables you it makes it less painful to start a new profile. It doesn't carry over mileage or any statistics like that. It literally just makes things achievable quicker. That's terrible English, but I think you get the drift. So yeah, look through it carefully. Make small changes, or if you really got sort of low confidence, make one obvious change, I think. And the most important thing to remember, which I probably should have said at the beginning, actually, In fact, I'll probably just insert this at the beginning. But the most important thing to remember when fiddling about with mods and stuff like this is make a backup copy so that you can always revert back to stuff before you started tinkering with it. And then, you know, if it doesn't work, then you can go back and try and figure out why it doesn't work. Something I accidentally noticed as well, once you've done fiddling with stuff, I've always changed these files back to SCS. Bing, like so. There's my Scania T one. Do you think it'll be under S? And yes, there it is. Yeah, I noticed this one over here. Oh ha ha ha. Oh ha ha ha. Zip. I've forgotten to change that back, but the game loaded it. And it kind of makes perfect sense, especially given what I've just done, because an SCS file is fundamentally kind of a zip file, because it's basically a container for files. So that's why I cheated. So the game loads zips as though they were SCS files. But for clarity, I try and keep everything SCS files because the mods I download were zip files. So it gets confusing. Unless I'm just making it confusing. So we'll let that load up. Shouldn't take too long. Bing and bong and bing. So here we go. So you're in here. That's my profile that I'm running currently. As you can see, I've got lots of profiles. I look nothing like that. That's what if you're wondering, that's what I most look like if I had my hair cut. My hair, have we got an equivalent hair? No, we haven't got a equivalent hair. It's one heck of a mop at the moment. I'd probably look older than that, to be fair. Anyway, edit profile. Ding. And this can take some time. You have to bear in mind that all mods are on an SSD here, so that was SSD speed. But that can take some time depending on the amount of mods. I've got quite a lot of mods, so maybe, you know, as you can see, I've got quite a lot of mods. Yeah. Blimey. Yeah. But they're not all enabled. So down here, by the way, if you wonder what all the Zs are as well, Zs basically move the mod further down the loading list. So it literally starts at the top, or the game starts at the top and then goes through the list of mods until it goes right down to the bottom here. So if you put Zs in, it moves its position in the loading tree down to the bottom, or closer to the bottom, depending on how many Zs. But of course you can get carried away with Zs, as you can see here. It's like, oh, I put some Zs in here, but I want something to move after, so I put another Z in. Before you know it, you put so many Zs in, you can't see what the mod's called. So that's why I had to come along here and try capitalising the Z rather than change its running order. Yeah, so watch that. But then I've got, you know, a fairly extreme case here. Got quite a lot of mods going. So one of these Z mods down here is, there it is, Quick Start Economy. And you've got Scania T somewhere up here. But this name that you see here will be the file name. So that's how you change that name, is actually change the SCS file name in your mods folder. If you want to change the running order. So, yeah, kind of quite important. Some of the mods as well, some of these truck mods, like K100 springs to mind because it's right in front of my face. And this lowered Peterbilt mod as well. Some of them come in halves or various levels, various sections rather. Rust map, another good example. Make sure you click on each box for the mods. Make sure you've got all the pieces to it. Otherwise, chances are that will crash your game and cause all sorts of crazy stuff to happen. The game itself is very mod friendly. Anyway, this video is massively longer than I thought it would be, so apologies. I'm going to try and edit it down into something that takes less than a day to view. Hopefully it's been useful. It just sort of occurred to me that not everybody has as much time in their life as I do to probe these things. So maybe this is a relatively quicker way, but it's pretty easy when you get used to it. Yeah, hopefully I'll bring you more Euro Truck Simulator 2 soon. So yeah, apologies if this video has been ridiculously long. I apologise if I made it more confusing, or confusing more than before you started watching this video. If you have made it this far, Well done. Thumbs up. Holding my thumb up to the mic, look. Yeah. Please subscribe. All importantly, please click the like button. Let me know that I've been of help. So stay tuned and drive safe. Thanks for watching. Bye.